I mean, I do want to. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to this, but a big storyline: Bryce Young getting benched by the
Yes,
Carolina Panthers. I mean,
that's another thing.
it's his second week, and I'm going to be honest, deserved, deserved. Bryce Young deserves to be benched. Let me pull up his stats right here, for this week. Where is it? Chargers Panthers.
I think at the
Let's look
top of
at
my head,
this.
he had 85 passing
He
yards.
had 84 passing yards,
Jeez.
right? He had 18 completions. Last week, Cooper Kupp had 21 targets.
Oh,
Cooper Kupp had more targets than Bryce Young had completions. The dude just sucks, okay? I've had it. He deserves to be benched. He's a joke. He's a fraud.
mm-hmm.
He's not good. He looks like a Funko Pop running around the field. He's so damn small, he
Looks like
can't
a
see over the
Funko
line of
Pop.
scrimmage, and he makes stupid throws. He escapes the pocket when he shouldn't. He can't ball. He's a scrub. Bryce Young is not an NFL caliber quarterback. Andy Dalton is your better option, 100%. But I'll say this. Bryce Young was a stud at Bama, number one overall draft pick, but I think you swap any quarterback from that class and you put them on that Panthers team, I think they fail and fall on their face just as hard as Bryce Young does. This coaching staff is setting them up for failure. This offensive line is setting them up for failure. The receiving core setting up for failure. The running back room, the coaching staff. Bryce Young has a 0.0000 chance to succeed in the NFL if he is on the Carolina Panthers. There is nothing for him. He's out there playing with bums. I mean, Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen are your best weapons. That's horrible. Chuba Hubbard is not a starting NFL running back. The offensive line it's a UFL offensive line. Bryce Young, to a point, it's not his fault. What does he have? Who's coaching this guy? Bryce Young had better coaching in college than he is having right now in the NFL. And sure, he sucks and he's terrible and he is just 84 passing yards. But at the same time, I have a thought that goes back into my head. What if he was drafted to another team that cared? Would we see the different Bryce Young? Would he have fallen on his face this hard? I'm going to be honest. I don't think so. I'm going to ask you this question right now. You take Bryce Young and Brock Purdy and you swap them. Did the Niners have all that success?
I don't think so.
I think they'd still be contenders. I don't think that they go to the Super Bowl, but I think you put Brock Purdy in the Carolina Panthers offense, he would have been gone by week 4 last year. I
The
mean,
thing about Bryce Young, not to cut you off, I don't like it all that. He just looks scared a lot.
he
And
looks horrified. And you know why? You know why he looks horrified?
line.
Because when he takes a snap, he
Yep.
has less than a second until he's got a 6'7" dude chasing him down, about to send him to the damn shadow realm. He doesn't have he has nothing. He takes a snap and he has to run for his life. But it's not even like Bryce Young has shown flashes of success. You know what I mean? It'd be a totally different story. What I'm trying to get at is Bryce Young is in a horrible situation, but he hasn't even shown a flash of, well, if I was on the Niners, if I was on a team that has crazy weapons, would I be good? I really don't think so. I think that this dude just flat out sucks. Bryce Young sucks at football.
Yeah, since we're already here, I'll add this, and I guess we can just break down Chargers Panthers to get into it. I saw a good point someone made online. I think it was on Twitter during like all these games in the 1 o'clock hour. Like Sam Darnold was balling for the Vikings right now. Baker Mayfield's going crazy with the Bucks. Both those guys were on the Panthers and were not good with the Carolina Panthers. And I think they had worse weapons than what Bryce Young has, personally. They didn't have Thielen, I'm not pretty sure. Maybe Baker had him for a little bit. They didn't have a Deontay Johnson, who is not the best wide receiver, but it's better than what they had. They did not have the best running back room. They still had the same O-line, but when both of those quarterbacks left, they're both kind of finding something. Baker Mayfield more so than Sam Darnold right now. But I'm very curious to see what they do with Bryce Young. They're not going to get rid of him. I don't think so. They're still
You've
going
got
to.
to. You've
Yeah,
got to.
I don't think they're getting rid of him. They still.
You've
Who's
got
their
to.
number two? It's just Andy Dalton and him.
It's Andy Dalton.
Yeah, you got to keep Bryce Young at that point. I think he's not a good quarterback right now. He's kind of not. He's been garbage. And I'll ask you this before we get into the recap. That year, the big thing was Tepper, their owner, wanted Bryce Young, but there was a whole thing saying they wanted their coaching staff wanted C.J. Stroud. They wanted C.J. to be that QB. Do you think if C.J. Stroud is on the Carolina Panthers today, he would have won the Rookie of the Year last year with the Panthers?
0%.
Do
No.
you think C.J. Stroud is as good? Do you think
0%.
C.J. Stroud
No.
has success?
No. And let's not act like the situation that CJ Stroud was brought into was, all fun and games. No, CJ Stroud was brought into a pathetic Houston Texans offense with guys as receivers that nobody thought were going to be competent. No one thought Tank Dell was going to have a good year. No one thought Nico Collins would end up being one of the best receivers in that division. Nobody thought that team would be close to competent and be making a playoff appearance. Nobody in their right mind. So do I think that CJ Stroud would lead the Carolina Panthers to that type of success that Houston had? No. Would he be as bad as Bryce Young? Absolutely not. The Carolina Panthers won one game last year, 1 or 2 games last year. They would have won probably four maybe. Four games, four maybe 5 with CJ Stroud. He's just a better passer. He's has better football IQ. He's just a better quarterback flat out. And you switch these two, I think Bryce Young has a way better situation in Houston going into that, just because of the offensive line and some of the coaching staff is it's a coaching carousel in Carolina that it's been. I mean, this guy's probably going to get fired this year or next year. They're so bad. And you got to have a guy. You look at the Lions, for example. This is a franchise who was the laughing stock of the NFL for the last it was them and the Browns were the biggest joke of the NFL for the last 20 years. You bring a guy in, you new coaches, then you bring a guy in like Dan Campbell who sets the precedent of a team, who rallies guys behind him. I don't see that. In a coaching staff in Carolina. You need to have a coach that genuinely cares and wants to make a change and will do whatever it takes. Dan Campbell is that example. Bring a guy in like Dan Campbell if you really want change. And I don't think Carolina really deep down cares. They don't care enough. Care enough.
I'll say this. I know Nevin just said he hopes Bryce gets traded. I think I was thinking about this yesterday during the games. When I saw the news Bryce Young got benched yesterday, of course, I was thinking he's kind of pulling a reverse Trey Lance career. Trey Lance never got to really start with the Niners because he got hurt. But now they got rid of Trey Lance, and now he's a bench player, that is. I think Bryce Young is looking like a career number 2, number 3 type of guy. That's kind of the route Kenny Pickett's even going on right now with the Eagles after leaving the Steelers. It didn't work out. So I still want to believe in Bryce Young. I get the hype. He was picked number 1. It's only year 2. If it hasn't worked out for the Panthers, I think it can work out somewhere else, but I think he needs to work his way back up into that starting role. And I'll say this about the Panthers especially. I think other teams are doing rebuilds better. I think I saw this take and I really liked it. A team like the Texans slowly built around until they found the QB they liked. You don't have to every year when you're starting a rebuild have to go straight for the top QB. You have to do as much scouting as you can. Other teams have made it work. The Jaguars slowly started rebuilding until they found the QB that they liked, being Trevor Lawrence. And now the Jaguars are just kind of there. They're hovering. They're staying relevant. The Panthers, I think, have done this completely wrong. They clearly have. They didn't give a QB the proper weapons that they had. They've been kind of in the limbo of they thought Bryce Young was going to be this guy to just save the franchise. But other than that, I don't know like what they can do about it, but like rebuilding in this league needs to change clearly because teams everywhere are just thinking we got to get the QB and then we're saved. QB and then we're saved. It's not like that sometimes. You have to build the O-line first for a QB to be able to work. The Chicago Bears, will get to them in a little bit. They slowly built the offense and the defense before finding that star quarterback. They build everything else before getting that star QB because you have to find the perfect fit. That's my final little take about the QB situation with the Panthers. And I guess we'll get into the game really quick to start our little scoreboard update. But like I said, rebuilds important. Not a lot of teams do it right. And the Panthers, they're doing it completely wrong.